how much will the Green New Deal cost? Well, you might have heard a giant figure to the tune of $93 trillion. That's what Republicans and conservatives keep saying over and over again. But it turns out that that number is incorrect. So opponents of the Green New Deal cite the cost at $93 trillion, which is the very high end of a projection from the right-wing American Action Forum, while ignoring the potential benefits of saving energy, reducing pollution, and avoiding catastrophic warming. Now, while I think most people would agree that the Green New Deal would lead to a healthier environment, there has been disagreement about how much it's gonna cost. And the fact of the matter is that A, this $93 trillion figure isn't to be trusted because it comes from a source that's not credible, but B, it discounts the amount of money that we would actually save by cheaper renewable energy, by utilizing that type of energy. So the AAF states the Green New Deal envisions enough high-speed rail to make air travel unnecessary and projects that this would cost between $1.1 and $2.5 trillion. But the resolution actually doesn't say anything about moving toward a high-speed rail.
That would totally wipe out air travel.
Right, exactly. The resolution just says that one goal is to eliminate pollution and greenhouse gas emissions from the transportation sector as much as is technologically feasible, including through investment in zero-emission vehicles, mass transit, and high-speed rail. One other thing I want to note, and this is a broader point about the Green New Deal, that people in the media are either purposely leaving out or are just too stupid to understand. The Green New Deal is not legislation, okay? It's not a policy, a detailed policy proposal that members of Congress are gonna vote on soon. The Green New Deal is a non-binding, it's like a list of ambitious goals, right? It's like a wish list. This is what I'm hoping that the country moves toward. And so it is the framework in which members of Congress will draft legislation. It is not legislation on its own. So to look at the Green New Deal and to come up with facts and figures or estimates about how much it costs is ridiculous because it's not laying out the specifics of the policy.
So let me give you even more context there. So technically it's a non-binding resolution. And so because of that, it's a very short document. And the legislation itself, if it were to come later, would have a lot of details about how do you pay for it, how much does it cost, what exactly would it do. So when Mitch McConnell says, let's go vote on this non-binding resolution, yeah, you can have that vote, but it is, even if we won and we got the Green New Deal, wouldn't that be amazing? No, it would be a non-binding resolution that is, it would not go into effect. So I actually disagree with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and some other progressives that are saying that we shouldn't have this vote because it's a political bluff. It is a political bluff, she's right about that, but I want the vote. I want to see which Democrats are gonna vote no. And so, and I'm gonna make a list and we're gonna check it twice. So if they don't wanna be on the list, they should vote yes. If they wanna be with the Republicans, they should vote no. So that's a fair disagreement to have. But now back to the heart of it. So since it's a non-binding resolution with no specifics in there about how much things would cost or how we'd pay for it or any of that stuff, when this right-wing group AAF says it's gonna cost $93 trillion, by definition, they're making it up, okay? Just out of whole cloth. Now, my favorite part of the things that they made up, Anna read you one part, okay? About, it's gonna cost $2.5 trillion to get rid of all the airplanes. It never said they were gonna get rid of the airplanes. Total, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. The right-wing think tanks, they get legitimacy like, it's a right-wing think tank. No, they're preposterous liars. And so when the media calls it even, it does a terrible disservice to the truth. So here's my favorite part. They said that part of the problem with this is they said the Green New Deal is going to also give us universal basic income and Medicare for all, okay? Universal health care coverage overall, okay? Now, that is an ambition they said would be great to strive for eventually in this non-binding resolution. The right-wing think tank takes that and goes, you see that? Those two policies alone are gonna cost over $80 trillion. That's why the overall bill is gonna cost us $93 trillion. Wait a minute, what are you talking about? The Green New Deal, and they threw that in as it would be great and wonderful if we did this in a comprehensive way and everybody had health care and everybody had universal basic income. But there's no legislation that mandates that, let alone the $80 trillion price tag, let alone putting that on clean technology and clean energy. What? What are you talking about? So 80 out of the 93 trillion has nothing to do with the Green New Deal. Nothing. Yet almost every Republican quotes the $93 trillion number. Because as a party, they're liars.
Well,
and they don't mind lying.
Of course they don't mind lying. They're politicians. So the point I want to make is that it is the job of whoever is interviewing the politician to challenge them on the number. So what's one of the things that I tell journalism students all the time? If you're covering a press conference where a political leader or a public servant is saying anything, your assumption should be they're lying. And I know that might sound too harsh, but it's so you take the extra step of fact checking everything they say, because it is in their interest to lie. It is in their interest to do a press conference and say things that make their party or their agency or their organization look good. And so yeah, they've been able to spread this lie and this misinformation without ever being challenged.
Yeah, and let me clarify. I say universal basic income. It's actually a jobs guarantee that the non-binding resolution says we hope we get one day, okay? And universal health care. And that's where they invented the 80.6 trillion out of the 93 trillion. So by the way, these lies are so outrageous. Not only has every fact-checking organization debunked it, but even Politico wrote an entire article explaining why it's quote unquote bogus. If you can get Politico to say a right-wing talking point is bogus, wow, you've really set the record on lying. So meanwhile, these same organizations will take something any progressive says slightly askew, right? Well, they're technically right, but we don't really agree with them. And they're like, 4 Pinocchios, right? No, the entire Republican Party lies for a living. And then, so you can say, oh no, Cenk, you're biased. No, look at it. I can find you dozens of Republicans that quoted that $93 trillion number, full well knowing that it's completely fake. And you know what? Even in Senator Ernst's tweet, which PolitiFact said was false, she said the Green New Deal, at $93 trillion, the Green New Deal would cost more than the entire recorded spending of the US since the Constitution went into effect in 1789. Now, do you think there's any chance that the Green New Deal would actually cost that much money? Of course not. Of course you know it's not gonna cost that much, but you don't mind lying at all. So that's the reality of the Republicans. And that's before we get to their insane rantings on the Senate floor.
Right, exactly. And one other thing I just wanna add in regard to this story is that, you know what's really expensive? Climate change. Climate change is really expensive. In fact, White House admits Trump climate policies will cost Americans $500 billion a year. And these are just the policies that Trump has either implemented or rolled back from the Obama administration that tried to mitigate some of the impact of climate change. So his climate change loving policies are actually costing American taxpayers quite a bit of money. And it's not just money, it's destroying lives through extreme weather conditions, through these exacerbated hurricanes and storms. And so if you want to talk about money, if that's really the important factor here for everyone, think about how much climate inaction is costing the American people and also impoverished individuals in other countries. We need to act now.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.